Hey everyone, my name's Mike. This is part 2 of our 5-part lunch hour series on making a procedural generator. We've made this for ProcJam, which is the procedural generation jam. And in this series, we're going to be stepping you through the process of making a procedural generator that's going to live on a social media site like Blue Sky or Mastodon, just like this example on the right-hand side here that generates fake New England towns. So each episode covers a different part of the process. This is episode 2. So if this is your first episode, you might want to go back and find episode 1. But hopefully you've already gone through, you've chosen a theme, you've found some examples. And so you're ready to join us in this episode thinking about an inspiring set and the range of our generator. So what do those things mean? Well, today we're actually going to have you make some examples. So in episode 1, we looked for some examples ourselves, and in the future episodes, we're going to build a system that's going to produce examples for us. But today it's your turn to work on your own. So this kind of surprises some people because we think about generative systems or procedural generators as being things that do creative work for us. But it's not really the case. It takes a lot of creative work to build a procedural generator. And in particular, when we start off, it often helps if we're able to make a load of examples ourselves, because it helps us think about the kinds of things that we would like our generator to be able to do. There's a computational creativity researcher called Graham Ritchie. He did a lot of pioneering work in the field, and he calls this set of inspiring examples, he calls it an inspiring set. So that is a list of things that are going to guide us in our creation of our generator. So we're going to take our inspiring set tomorrow and we're going to very explicitly work backwards from it to create some patterns. But for today, we're just going to be interested in writing some stuff by ourselves. So your first task for today is to open up that document that you made yesterday with your theme and your examples in. And you're going to make a new list underneath, which is going to be your inspiring set. So these are going to be 10 to 20 examples that fit your theme, but that you've come up with yourself. Don't worry too much about the number 10 to 20. Write the amount that is fun for you, obviously. As long as you've got a few, you'll be okay. But importantly, you don't need to know what your generator is going to do. You don't need to know what generators are capable of. Don't worry about any of that stuff yet. Write as freely as you like, and tomorrow we'll try and figure out how practical these things are to turn into patterns. But sometimes part of the inspiring set we just can't figure out how to use, and that's totally okay. This is just going to help us think about how we're going to design our generator. My recommendation is that you start with a few that are really similar to the examples you found, and then towards the end you can kind of go wild and just come up with anything funny or interesting that you like. So on the right hand side I've got some examples of British cheeses at the top, and then at the bottom I've got a list of some that I came up with myself. And you can see how some of them are quite similar to the examples I found. Some of them are a little bit different. I didn't spend too long on it. I didn't overthink it. But I'm going to leave you now to go and do that. Before I do that, I just wanted to give you a couple of things to think about. So while you're doing this task, try and have a think about what tone your generator is going to have. So some generators are quite silly. They make kind of funny things, and so that might come into some of the inspiring examples that you write. Some are more poetic, some are more serious. So do have a think about that before you write your inspiring set, because the examples that you write today will probably influence the tone of your generator tomorrow. Also keep an eye on how long your examples are. So if you're just doing names of things, it's probably not going to be a worry. But if you're writing longer descriptions, just remember that we're going to be writing a bot for a social media site. And so the things that it produces can't really be longer than a few hundred characters. And if at any point you get stuck, just go back to your examples from yesterday, pick one that you like, and try and write a variation on it. Okay, pause the video here then, and have a go at that, and come back here in like 15, 20 minutes, or when you get bored. See you in a bit. All right. Hopefully that was fun and not too testing. What I thought we would do before the end of today's session is actually run our generator, which is kind of exciting. It's kind of a good step. I feel like we're already on session 2, so we should probably have something going. So we're going to be using a language called Tracery to write our bots. Tracery was designed by Dr. Kate Compton, who is, a researcher, a technologist, an artist, all sorts of things. And you can find Tracery on tracery.io/editor. Now, Tracery is just a language. It can be used in many, many different places. This just happens to be a really convenient place where we can go in our browser to actually use it and run it and test it. So when we actually make our bot later on in the week, we're going to go to another website, and that's going to help us set it up on Blue Sky or Mastodon. But for today, we're going to be using Kate's editor so that we can test out what we've made. Now, when you open this page, that's tracery.io/editor, you're going to see something that looks like this. So on the right-hand side is some sort of visualization of the generator. Don't worry about that too much. In the bottom right is an example of the output from the generator. And on the left is the stuff we care about. That's where we're going to write our generator. Now, don't worry if this all looks a bit scary, because good news, we're going to delete all of it. So highlight the text in the left-hand pane, delete the whole thing, and then in its place, we're going to put this instead. So I've tried to make this quite clear and quite simple, but actually, if you want, I'll give you a place that you can go in a minute to just copy this text and paste it in directly. But I just wanted to show you that we're starting with a curly bracket, and this is a language that requires all of our brackets to be matched. So you can see there's a curly bracket at the start and a curly bracket at the end facing the other way, and they're kind of sandwiching in the rest of our code in the middle. And then in the middle, there's some text that says the word origin, which looks kind of enigmatic and spooky, and then a colon, and again, some square brackets, not curly ones. So basically, we're going to put all of our code for today in between those two square brackets. And we'll come back to exactly how this works later, so don't worry about it too much for now. But we are just going to paste in our examples. So there's not going to be any cleverness going on here. It is just going to be a generator that outputs the examples that we wrote today. So if you go to possibilityspace.org/week1.txt, which I'm now realizing should be week2.txt, but you know what? I'm going to leave it like that. If you go there, you will be able to find some text that you can paste directly into this window, and then you can start replacing the text with your examples. And you can see here that each line has one of my example cheese names. The example is enclosed in quotation marks. So there's a quotation mark at the start and a quotation mark at the end. And then there's a comma after the last quotation mark. So that's a whole line that tells that tells Tracery this is one of the possibilities that you can display. And then the comma tells Tracery there's going to be another one after this. So you can see that at the very end where it says Devonshire Falconer, there actually isn't a comma after that one. And that's because the last one doesn't need a comma because it's the end of our list. So if you've copied everything in and all's gone to plan, you can start putting your examples in place of the ones in my text file. So you can just delete the lines that have like example 1 and example 2 in, and you can paste in your examples instead. Make sure they've got quotation marks before and after. Make sure they've got a comma at the end. And then when you've got it, something going on, if you press the reroll button in the bottom right, every time you press it, you will see a different example come out. And that is Tracery running your generator. Now, your generator doesn't have any special pattern magic going on yet. It's just showing the examples that you've got. It's picking one at random and displaying it on the screen. But this is step 1. We actually have a generator working. We've created some original text. We've told Tracery how to randomly pick from it. And it's now, hopefully, fingers crossed, running in your browser. All right, that's the end of today's episode. If you're staring at the Tracery window and you're thinking, this is not working like Mike said it would be working, why don't you either message me on Mastodon or Blue Sky, or even better, leave a message on this video, or even better than that, join ProcJam's Discord community where there's loads of people who will be willing to give you some help and advice. There's hundreds of people on this community-run Discord. It's a really great place, and they'll always be willing to help you out with that. Assuming everything's gone to plan, I will see you tomorrow where we'll start taking some of these examples and thinking about how do we turn them into slightly more generative, more unpredictable outputs. And that's where the real magic starts happening, I think. All right, thanks for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow.